presentations. Are you all set up?
Yes.
Okay, good. Our first presenter today will be Mitch Kapor, please.
Great. So thank you very much. And it's wonderful to be here in such a distinguished company. One fact about the Electronic Frontier Foundation is that it was fundamentally born in cyberspace, as Howard will attest, because we were both there. There was an online conferencing system called the Well. This was circa 1990. It was one of the first functional virtual communities, a phenomenon Howard has written about. And that was the context in which a group of people with concerns about civil liberties on computer networks first started to have meaningful interaction. It was not physically based. It was virtually mediated. And the EFF was actually born that way. So it's a wonderful example of how social media, and this is sort of social media 0.1, can actually be used for a constructive political and civic purpose. And in fact, in the 20 years since EFF was founded, many wonderful things have happened. So I will not attempt to give an inventory, but since I'm sitting next to the founder of Wikipedia, I might say that I think it is remarkable that there is now a workable model of astounding power for creating reference materials in an encyclopedia that works through the decentralized, distributed, volunteer, non-driven, non-hierarchical methodology of creating an incredibly valuable cultural product. Having said that, I think we also have to recognize it very intelligently set itself some limitations. Does not try to do everything. Tries to be an encyclopedia, tries to get to agreement about facts. Many, though, of the most incredibly pressing issues that we face in society are normative issues. They're what should we do issues. What should we do about global climate change? What should we do? And there, the Wikipedia and things like it are of some value, but they don't attempt or pretend to get us to a point to be the kind of social media that will answer that. And in fact, if you look at the public discourse on contentious issues of what we should do in this society, at least as I look at it, it's an incredibly depressing phenomenon of people yammering at each other. You do not go online to gain enlightenment about the major issues of our time, except perhaps in some very isolated instances. And I think that is a social problem of the first order. And I don't have time to document the many elements of dysfunctionality, but I'm sure people will be talking about it. But it troubles me a great deal. Although, to put it into context, when people say that we've somehow therefore fallen from a golden age of enlightened rational discourse, I call bullshit on that. I've been currently spending a bunch of time reading 19th century American history, actually Civil War through Teddy Roosevelt, for reasons I'll get to at the end. And it is clear that the discourse in that day and age, in its own way, was as bad or worse. Character assassination and lies and corruption and people being paid off and every imaginable form of ugliness in trying to control public opinion has been found throughout the history of the Republic in different forms. And it's very hard to say that it's worse now. It's different because we're in cyberspace and things happen in real time and we have very short time spans and so on. So I would say what is on my mind, three things. The first is, in the 21st century, can facts matter? Because while facts are not determinative, there are lots of facts that there really is or ought to be a consensus on if you look at, and yet they are not well reflected in the public discourse. So how can we make facts matter? Or is that hopeless? Second, how can we increase the emotional bandwidth of our connections? Which is to say that the prana in cyberspace is pretty thin. And one of the reasons people yell at each other and disrespect each other in very fundamental ways is they don't have the lived experience that they're actually dealing with another human being when they're doing it. And so if you can increase, say, through virtual worlds, and as virtual worlds improve, and I have a stake in this, to create more of a sense of actually being face-to-face. And we're in the early innings of that. Will that and can that be used in a way that makes discourse more constructive? And then finally, to me, discourse for discourse's sake is unbelievably uninteresting. And we have to, I'm looking out in the room, which seems to be pretty much full of middle-class white people. The social issues of our time involve how do we create a society in which people have roughly equal opportunities and there are not barriers to engagement and participation. How do we make the most of human capital, and how do we do that in this country, in our communities, and globally, and how do we have public discourse in cyberspace that furthers that? And to me, that's what grounds the whole prospect of why we should even be here today. I'm interested in the other comments from the panel and in a lively day of discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch.